Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a library tour of yore? This is a library tour of the books I had about 10 years ago or so, give or take about 12, 8, so 10's a good middle number. This is an incomplete list. I wrote it down. I'm thinking I wrote the books down when I boxed them up for a move. But this list is incomplete. There are no science fiction and fantasy. I think I'm missing several Margaret Atwood books. They're Wilderness Tips, The Blind Assassin. I'm missing a collection of short stories by Barbara Gowdy, the title of which I'm currently blanking on. Anatomy of Criticism by Northrop Frye is missing. So there's a good chunk of my library, of the library I had at the time, I'm missing. So yeah, but we'll go with what we have. Otherwise, I might be here all day, and I don't want to. I've looked and I can't find the other sheets, so yeah, we'll just go with what I have, and I'll go over like what I still have. I'll just ignore, but what I don't have, I'll touch on and maybe talk some about and regret having gotten rid of. So let's go with box number 1. The Rat by Günter Grass. It's a retelling of various fairy tales. I loved it when I read it. I think I was in high school when I read it. It's been a few years since I got rid of it, and I regret having gotten rid of it. I would like to have the Rat back and probably get some more Günter Grass. 5 novels by Charles Dickens and 5 novels by Henry James. So Barnes & Noble had at the time, probably still do, these big bind-ups of shorter novels that I had. I read, I know for sure the Dickens had Christmas Carol, and I'm pretty sure probably had A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, and David Copperfield, I think. Don't quite remember who the Henry James one had. John Keegan's The First World War, I still have it. Thomas McGrath's Letter to an Imaginary Friend. This is I guess you could call it a novel in poetry, or a poetic novel. It's a long poem that, since we don't really have a term for it, it's like a poetic novel or a novel in verse. It's about a young man who takes a train trip and basically goes into another dimension for several years and changing, and then he'll return every few years and he'll interact with the community he left. I read it for a senior, some kind of senior literature class in college. And it's where basically the professor who's assigned the class for that year pretty much gets to go all out. It's like the one-off, whatever you want to teach. And it was the worst of the books Professor Altamont assigned. Homer's The Odyssey, I still have it. Jonathan Bass' How to Get Laid, which we won't talk about, I still have it. John Galsworthy's The Forsyte Saga, still have it. Where the Boys Are by William J. Mann. It's the sequel to Where the Boys Are. I never got around to reading it, and I do sort of regret having gotten rid of it. Kristen Lebrandtsdatter by Sigrid Undset. Picked it up from a library cart. The Scarborough Phillips Library at St. Edward's would every year I think, put out free books or books that were relatively cheap. I think I picked it up there, and I didn't make much progress reading it. The Black Book by Orhan Pamuk. Didn't make much headway with it. Kind of regret that. I think I would like to give it another go at some point. John Barth's The Saltweed Factor. Still have it. Life Studies and For the Union Dead by Robert Lowell. I think I quite enjoyed them. I think I bought them for a class in grad school. My part semester in grad school. I was taking like an experimental poetry class. And I think those books were assigned. I could be wrong though. I think I quite enjoyed them. And Selected Poems by Robert Lowell. I bought these independently and quite enjoyed them. Again, wish I had them back. Selected Poems by Robert Duncan. I first discovered Robert Duncan in the anthology Word of Mouth, and I really enjoyed the selection in there. And so I picked up this Selected Poems and loved it. And again, regret having gotten rid of it. Various Works by Hesiod. I still have it. Source by Mark Doughty. I remember quite enjoying the collection and regret having gotten rid of it. I would like it back. Dream Boy by Jim Grimsley. Still have it. Collected Poems by Arthur Rimbaud. Quite liked them. As will become a running gag or recurrent theme, I do regret having gotten rid of it. The Men from the Boys by William J. Mann. It's a Provincetown novel about like a middle-aged gay man and his circle of friends, and basically it's his midlife crisis, and worrying whether or not he infected his summer fling, a young Portuguese American. Midak Ali, and again, I wish I would have had it back. Midak Ali by Naguib Mahfouz. This is about Cairo in, I want to say, before World War II or immediately after World War II. And it is fantastic. I bounced off the book, I think, once or twice before I finally read it and loved it. Regret having gotten rid of it. The Italian by Ann Radcliffe. Never did make much progress with it. Would probably like to give it another go at some point. Next box. Assorted comic books, which I don't have anymore, and I don't actually remember who they would have been. Maybe some Young Avengers. Because I think I would have had like the first volume of Young Avengers by Heinberg and Chung. And maybe an Ultimate X-Men collected edition, and then maybe a few comics here or there. But anyway, moving on to the books. Plasticville by David Trinidad. I think I quite enjoyed the collection, and again, regret having gotten rid of it. The Lord Won't Mind and One for the Gods, a bind-up edition by Gordimer. I don't think I ever quite read them, but definitely I do regret having gotten rid of them, because looking for used copies or any copies is rather expensive, unless I guess you can go to the Brattle Bookshop. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. Love the play. What the heck was I thinking getting rid of it? I don't know. The House Gun by Nadine Gordimer. A novel by Nadine Gordimer I actually like. And regret having gotten rid of. Letters by Mary Wortley Montague. Love them. It was for a class and quite loved them. I don't know if I'd want them back though. The Metaphysics by Aristotle. I'm not entirely sure what I was thinking at the time of buying it, and I don't think I would want it back. Boulevard by Jim Grimsley, I still have it. The World of Normal Boys by K.M. Sohenlein, and You Can Say You Knew Me When, again by K.M. Sohenlein. I remember quite liking The World of Normal Boys. I never got around to You Can Say You Knew Me When, and I think I would probably like them both back. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Needs no further comment, except for, what was I thinking, getting rid of it? Although I think I would like it in another edition. Jump by Nadine Gordimer. Don't have it anymore. Would probably like it back, even though I am a bit antipathic. I waffle back and forth on Nadine Gordimer. The Penman Book of Gay Short Stories by David Leavitt and I think Mark Mitchell, but I could be wrong. Magisterial, awesome, particularly the later stories. Probably would like to have them back, or have it back. Mysterious Skin by Scott Heim, I still have it. The Alice books by Lewis Carroll. I'm wanting to say it's the edition I still have, although I had a big one a few years ago, around this time too, that basically had all of Lewis Carroll's like the Alice books in this big, huge omnibus edition. It was just glorious, which I don't have, and probably won't get recollect since I have the Alice books in a different edition. Paradise Lost by John Milton. Needs no further comment. Don't know if I would actually want to re-add it to my collection. The edition I had was very, very marked up. Offensively marked up. There were some profanity in neon yellow marker. Lamar D'Arthur by Thomas Mallory, I still have it. Answer Song by David Trinidad. I quite like this edition, if I remember correctly, and will like it back. The Changing Light at Sandover by James Merrill, I still have it. The Sluts by Dennis Cooper, still have it. Greek drama edited by, I think it's Moses Haddis, I still have it. The Metamorphoses by Ovid. Needs no introduction, but I think I would like to have that one back. The Oresteia by Aeschylus, still have it. A Home at the End of the World and Flesh and Blood by Michael Cunningham. Excuse me. This is the same bind up, or similar bind up as the Gordimer. I think it was Purple Triangle Publishing. Excuse me. And I really liked A Home at the End of the World and never got around to Flesh and Blood. I have recently bought A Home at the End of the World, but I still need to go after Flesh and Blood. And then the Argonautica by Apollonius of Rhodes, which I still have. So that is the first sheet. Edward Field, Stars in My Eyes. What was I thinking getting rid of this? This is one of my favorite poetry collections. Definitely I want another edition. Film, Form, and Culture by Robert Kolker. This was a class book. I think my very first, or one of my first college classes, and no, I would not like it back. Selected Poems by Robinson Jeffers. This could be one of two editions. I had a very slim volume that's based on like a 38 or 68 edition. And then there's a much bigger one put out by Stanford University, which is the one I want. And why I got rid of that edition, I have no clue, and I'm ticked at myself ever since. So, next box. Manga Boys by Kinu Sakaguchi. It's an art book, which I still have. The House of Moorcock by Joe Phillips, which I still have. But I never showed it in my library tour. Probably won't. Visions of War by David D. Perlmutter. Still have it. Plato's The Republic by Plato. Don't have it. Don't know if I would want to get it back. The Folding Star by Alan Hollinghurst. Still have it. Your Native Land, Your Life by Adrienne Rich. Don't have it anymore. I think I would like to get like a collected edition of Rich's poetry. I quite like her work. So yeah. The Spell by Alan Hollinghurst. I still have it. The Line of Beauty by Alan Hollinghurst. I still have it. The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym by Edgar Allan Poe. I still have it. Frisk by Dennis Cooper. I still have it. Still Acting Gay by John M. Clum. I think this is a book about gay drama or gay theater. I think it's like a follow-up edition. I think he had like Acting Gay, and then Still Acting Gay was his the second edition or a follow-up, which was quite good. Although I don't know necessarily if I would ever want to re-add it to my collection, since there's no real practical purpose. I might like academic literary criticism, but maybe not that much. Unless like I wanted to go for that as a career, which I don't anymore. And we might talk about that in another video if anybody would be interested. Let Orpheus Take Your Hand by George Colwitter. George Colwitter was one of my professors at St. Edward's University, and he was a poet, and some of his work was available at the school, the university bookstore, and I picked I think I picked up a few of his collections, and he's a good poet, although I don't know necessarily if I would want to try to pick it back up, since I don't know necessarily how available it would be. Omeros by Derek Walcott. Love it. I took it for the same class that I took Letter to an Imaginary Friend. This was the first one we read. It is amazing. It's a modernized retelling of the Odyssey, or Homer in general, and it is just amazing. I want this book back so badly. Wrong by Dennis Cooper. I still have it. At Swim Two Boys by Jamie O'Neill. I still have it. Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. It's a fantastic two short novellas. Quite loved both of them. Regret having gotten rid of it. Would like it back. History and Society by Noah Edward Phil. I still have it. The Agony of Words and Country Matters, both by George Colwitter. Don't have either one, and again, my opinions from Let Orpheus Take Your Hand stands. Style and Writing by Leo Rockus. This was for a class, and probably not. The MLA Handbook. I don't think I have that one anymore, and probably wouldn't want it because it's obviously superseded, and quite frankly, I don't see myself writing any academic papers or essays ever again. Colossus by Sylvia Plath. Remember quite enjoying this collection. Would probably like to, have this, reacquire it and maybe, or a collected edition of her work. House of Sleeping Beauties, The Old Capitol, The House of the Sleeping Beauties, and The Old Capital, by Yasunari Kawabata. I still have them. The Country of the Pointed Firs by Sarah Orne Jewett. Loved it. Don't have it anymore. Would like to get like a big collected edition of Sarah Orne Jewett's work. She's phenomenal, I think. Beauty and Sadness by Yasunari Kawabata. I still have. Selected Poems by William Blake. What was I thinking? I quite enjoyed them. 1,000 Cranes by Yasunari Kawabata. Still have The Book of Tea by Kakuzo Okakura. I don't have it anymore. Quite enjoyed it, but I don't know if I would want to pick it up again. Sodom and Gomorrah by Marcel Proust. I bounced on it when I read it. I'm sometimes tempted to give it another go, but I don't know. City of Night by John Ritchie, I still have. The Hours by Michael Cunningham. This is sort of about Virginia Woolf and a sort of modern reenactment of Mrs. Dalloway. And I quite enjoyed it. Would like to have it back. Definitely. Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I still have it. I don't know why, but I still have it. Dionysus by Carol Karenyi. I still have it. Dreams of Fiery Stars by Catherine Rainwater. Much like George Clovitter, Catherine Rainwater was a professor of mine at St. Edward's University, and I think I picked this up from the library bookstore, or not the library bookstore, the university bookstore. And Dreams of Fiery Stars is her book-length study of Native American fiction. And I think what I've read of it is quite phenomenal, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I read it, and I don't quite remember much about it. Gargantua by Francois Rabelais. I may want to pick it back up. I may not. I don't know. Poetry and Prose by Percy by Shelley. I kind of regret having gotten rid of it. I quite like Shelley's work. Idol Worship by Michael Ferguson. It's a book about varying actors, male actors, who gay men have attached, like, sort of lust act, like actors who gay men commonly lust after. Interesting at points and not necessarily interesting in others. Next box, we begin with A Flurry of Foucault. The History of Sexuality, Volume 1, Discipline and Punish, Madness and Civilization. Quite enjoyed all three. Discipline and Punish and Madness and Civilization more than The History of Sexuality, Volume 1. But I would like, I think, to have the later two back rather than The History of Sexuality, Volume 1. The Duchess of Malfi by John Webster, I still have. Jacob's Room by Virginia Woolf, I don't have. I might want to have that back. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, quite good. I really enjoyed it. I definitely would like to reacquire at some point. The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. Oh, that book is phenomenal. I picked it up. I want to say I went to Austin for a UIL academic competition. And while we were there, we went into a used bookstore. The principal at the time, who was acting as chaperone, wanted to take us to a Barnes & Noble. But he couldn't find a Barnes & Noble around St. Edward's. It would be the University of Texas. And so we stopped in at a used bookstore where I picked up The English Patient, Giants in the Earth by O.E. Rulevag, which is also really awesome, which I don't think is listed on here. It's one of the missing books that I don't have anymore. Wish I had it still. And also I think I picked up an old anthology, Norton anthology of English Lit. But back to The English Patient, I would like to have it back. Attack of the Man-Eating Lotus Blossoms by Justin Chin. I definitely would like that back. That's a really good book. A Boy's Own Story by Edmund White. I never read it, which is a shame. I probably should have. The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. I think I would like it back. Structuralism and Post-Structuralism by David D. Palmer. It was I think it was like an illustrated introduction to structuralism and post-structuralism that was quite interesting, but I don't think I would want to have it back. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This was a Barnes & Noble edition that I think I probably should have Jane Austen in my collection, even though I'm not her biggest fan. Specimen Days by Michael Cunningham. I got this from a gay book club. So it's basically most people would know like the science fiction book club. But I was also a member of like 3 others. One that was focused on food and cooking, one that was focused on history. A lot of the history books I'm regretting having gotten rid of came from the history book club and LGBT book club. But I never got around to reading this one. Writing Essays About Literature by Kelly Griffith. This probably was for a class, and I don't remember much about it, so nah. The Secret Chair by Joseph Conrad. Probably would like to have it, although maybe as a collected edition of Conrad's work, because I remember really liking it. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Needs no further comment, although I would like to have it back. Beloved by Toni Morrison, would like to have it back. The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, I still have. Mongrel by Justin Chin, I would like it back. To have it back. A Personal Matter by Kenzaburo Oe, definitely would like to have that back. I loved that book. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, would like it back. I mean, it is a classic. It is awesome. Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens and Bleak House by Charles Dickens. Definitely would like to have both of them back. I really love Bleak House. That was phenomenal. The 20th Century Novel by R.B. Kirshner. This is, again, a book-length academic study. Don't think I would like it to have it back. Ethan Frome and Summer by Edith Wharton. I would like to have them back. How are we doing for time? Yikes, this is going on quite a while. Janie Aaron, The Little Brown Essential Handbook, I still have. Sappho, I still have. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I have a collected edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray and several other of Wilde's works, but I don't have the novel itself by the standalone novel, which had a phenomenal cover, and I regret having gotten rid of it because I love that cover. The Sound of the Mountain by Yasunari Kawabata I still have. Middlemarch by George Eliot. I would like to have it back, and I think I'm missing The Mill on the Floss, which I had too. The Magus by John Fowles. I think I would like to give it another go. Also had The French Lieutenant's Woman, which was phenomenal, and would like it back too. Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Definitely would like it back. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. Would like it back. It is phenomenal. Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Would like to actually, I think, read it. I don't know if I ever did. Billy Budd by Herman Melville. Like it back. Chimera by John Barth. Oh, good lord. This one was phenomenal. I loved it. Picked it up at a book sale in San Francisco, and it is quite a phenomenal book. I definitely want it back. The Master of Go by Yasunari Kawabata. Obviously, I still have it. Acts of Worship by Yukio Mishima. I still have. The Complete Place by Christopher Marlowe. I still have. Would like a new edition because mine is quite beaten up. The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Would like to have it back. The Bostonians by Henry James. Given how many times I've bounced off of the Bostonians, I don't know if I really should want it back, but I would like to give it yet another go. Which seems to be typical of me. Next box. Anna Marie Jagosa's Queer Theory and Introduction. Pretty much this book put me off of queer theory. It was terrible. More Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. The sequel to Tales of the City. I don't think Tales of the City or maybe The Moon are in here. No, wait, they are. Because I'm seeing Tales of the City right there. but I would like to have them all back. Some more by Michel Foucault, The Archaeology of Knowledge, and The Order of Things. I haven't read either one of these. Would probably like to, though. The Passion by Jeanette Winterson. It's a book about 18th century Venice or late Renaissance Venice. Really good. Quite would like to have it back. Closer by Dennis Cooper. I still have. Three Plays by Thornton Wilder. I don't have it anymore. Would like to have it back. I love Our Town, and I think I would like to have read the other two plays. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Phenomenal book. Would definitely like to have it back. View with a Grain of Sand by Wisława Szymborska. Still have. Okay, so this is the Cinderella novel of the picture of Dorian Gray, which I don't have and would love to have at least that edition back, because the cover was phenomenal. Culture and Society by Raymond Williams. I picked this one up, I think, in San Francisco and quite enjoyed it, and I would like to have this one back. The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. I have it, but it's not the same edition. Burden of Ashes by Justin Chen. Would like it back. Lizard by Banana Yoshimoto. Phenomenal short story collection. Would like it back. The Robber Bride by Margaret Atwood. Probably the only novel by Margaret Atwood that I actually like. And yes, I would like it back. I think I'm missing, I think I mentioned earlier, The Blind Assassin and Wilderness Tips. I also had, that's not on this list. Light in August by William Faulkner. I didn't quite get on with this one. I don't know if I would like to have it, or just for like completionist sake, or maybe give it another go. Absalom, Absalom. I would like to actually read it. I bounced off when I tried. Armistead Maupin's Tales of the City, which I've already talked about. As They Lie Dying by William Faulkner, I still have. The Lost Language of Cranes and Bauman by David Levitt. Would like to have both of them back. Never did get around to reading them. The Swimming Pool Library by Ellen Hollinghurst, I still have. The Journals of Captain Cook by Captain James Cook. Would like to actually have this back. The edition I had was Fallen All to Hell, but I quite enjoyed it. Dancer from the Dance by Andrew Holleran, I still have. Stories of the Modern South by Ben Faulkner. Really great anthology. I took a Southern Lit class, which is why there's like a whole lot of Faulkner in here. That I quite enjoyed. I think I also had like the Complete Stories of Flannery O'Connor for the class that I don't have, and Tyler's The Accidental Tourist, I think, was included. Variety Photoplays by Edward Field. Would like to have that back. I'm not as fond of this collection as I am of Stars in My Eyes. A Shropshire Lad by E. Houseman. Would like it back. 60 Stories by Donald Bottomey. Definitely would like it back. They were quite good. Selected Poems by William Carlos Williams. Definitely would like it back. That William Carlos Williams is a phenomenal poet, and I regret having gotten rid of this collection. Imaginations by William Carlos Williams. I think I had this for the experimental poetry class and would probably like to have it back. A Doll's House by Heinrich Ibsen. I picked this up at Golden's Book Exchange and would like to have it back, I think. Or at least just have a try at it. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Would like it back. Cain by Jean Toomer. I love this mix of prose and poetry. I picked it up for the same experimental poetry class and love it. I want it back. Headhunters by Timothy Findley. I remember bouncing off of it when I had it. I picked up a beat up mass market paperback through Barnes & Noble's used bookstore, and yeah, I don't know if I actually would want to give this another go or not. Nana by Emile Zola. I bounced off of it. Probably would like to give it another go. Howard's End by Ian Forster. Again, I remember bouncing off of it, but or bailing on it. But I think I would kind of like to give this one another go too. The Color, the Color Purple by Alice Walker. I love this book. I want to say this might have been for the Southern Lit class too. Or it might have been for a different class. But I love it and regret having gotten rid of it. Would also like to have like some of Alice Walker's essays, because she's a fantastic essayist too. A Streetcar Named Desire and 4 plays, which include Orpheus Descending, Summer and Smoke, Suddenly Last Summer, and I think maybe A Rose Tattoo. Could be wrong about that last one. By Tennessee Williams. I want like the two big collections of Tennessee Williams drama. I want them badly. Next box. The Nile by Emil Ludwig. I still have. A verse by Rudyard Kipling. I picked this up from the free library card. Regret having gotten rid of it. I think I would like to have his work back. Although I'm not a particularly huge fan of some of his work, or a good chunk of it. The Sea in the Mirror by W.H. Auden. I think I would like to have it back. I don't quite know why I had it though. Voluntary Servitude by Mark Wunderlich. Definitely would like to have it back. Quite enjoyed the collection. Freddie Neptune by Les Murray. This is one of those prose novels in verse that I had for my senior lit class. Les Murray is a major, or was a major Australian poet, and it was a phenomenal book. I definitely would like to have it back. I think I'm missing the last of these books, which was Anne Carson's autobiography of Rid, which I definitely want to. I want it back. Regret having gotten rid of it. Selected Poems by Allen Ginsberg. Would like to have it back. Forbidden Acts by Ben Hodges. I still have. Longman Anthology of British Literature, Volume 1B. I could do without. Collected Poems by Edgar Bowers. I think I would like to have it back. Something for the Boys by John M. Clum. Sorry about that. This one I think deals with the representations of homosexuality on film. And I remember it being quite good, but I don't think I would want to buy it again. The Trash Phenomenon by Stacey Ulster. Again, this is a book-length literary study. Don't think I would want it back. The Dream of the Unified Field by Jory Graham. I would like to have it back. I know there's a more recent collected edition of her work, or selected edition of her work, that I might want to pick up too, but I think I want to pick this one up too. I loved this collection. The Folding Cliffs by W.S. Merwin. This is a novel in verse, but unlike the previous novels in verse, this one I took I had for a modern and contemporary American poetry class. And so we basically had an anthology, which I don't think is on here, edited by J.D. McClatchy, which the professor raged about because there were some editorial snafus. But yeah, The Folding Cliffs was our assigned sort of novel in verse reading. It's about late 19th century Hawaii and the leper colony that was set up there. It was quite good. Would like it back. Packing Up for Paradise by James Broughton. Would like to have it back. Mr. Bluebird by Jerry Gomez Perlberg. Definitely would like to have it back. I remember really enjoying this collection. And also seeing if Jerry Gomez Perlberg ever wrote any other collections. In All by Scott Heim. I don't have it anymore. Never actually did get around to reading it either. I think I would like to have it back, or have another edition. Gutter Boys by Alvin Orloff, I still have. Cutting Myself Lucky by Edward Field, I still have. Word of Mouth by Timothy Liu, I still have. The Go-Go Boys Sonnets by Edmund Miller, I still have. St. Edward's University by William Dunn, I still have. Bite Hard by Justin Chin, I would like to have it back. Okay, we're almost done. The Norton Anthology of American Lit, I'm thinking I probably could do without. The Columbia Anthology of Gay Literature by Burn R.S. Phone, I still have. Collected Poems by James Merrill, I would like to have them back. I don't know exactly how expensive those editions are. The next one is where I'm going to go on a bit of a rant. Collected Poems by Frank O'Hara. I am so upset with myself right now for having gotten rid of this collection. I remember really enjoying it. But, yeah. I got rid of it for some dumb reason, and now that I want it back, there are editions that are, like, insanely expensive. I think actually have to go to the University of California Press website to actually get a decently priced copy. Everything else is, well over $30. It is ridiculous. The Heath American 1 and 2. This was for my American Lit class. Don't think I'd want them back. Norton and then there's like the Norton English Lit. I could probably do without having them back. The Norton Critical I still have. The Critical Tradition I still have. A History of the World by Hugh Thomas I still have. The Iliad I still have. Although I did have like editions of both the Iliad and the Odyssey from Barnes & Noble that used the Butler translation that I'm quite glad I got rid of because it was terrible. And somebody forgot to translate it all to Greek because it was like Latin. Because I think the original translation was from Latin. It used the Latin, but the more recent one, like they switched to Greek, and then sometimes they forgot. But I think these are the. I'm blanking on the translator. Sorry about that. The Greek Myths by Robert Graves I still have. The Holy Roman Empire by James Bryce I still have. A History of the Weimar Republic Volume 1 by Eric Eyck I still have. And Webster's Dictionary, which I still have. So that was a tour through the books I had about a decade ago. And quite a few of those books, or a good chunk of those books, I would like to have back and I regret having gotten rid of. But, yeah. It is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, I could probably slowly over the next few years recollect them. But, yeah. Anyway, this video has gone on way too long. So I will leave it here. Tomorrow I'll have a weekly reads, and I don't know if I'll have up another video, but until tomorrow, thank you, BookTube. Have a great day. Sorry this is so long, and please stay safe.